Kelly Goodlett was one of 4 former LMPD officers federally charged for their alleged roles in that warrant. She now admits to conspiring to create a false warrant for Taylor's home that night, then trying to cover it up. In fact, the U.S. Attorney General earlier this month drew a direct line from that warrant to Breonna Taylor's death. WHAS 11's Isaiah Kim Martinez was inside the courtroom today. And Isaiah, did Kelly Goodlett speak in the courtroom today at all?
Well, Doug, she did, but it was mainly procedural answers to the judge. Yes, judge, no judge in those situations. We actually tried to speak with her right after. We'll talk to that in a little bit. But we also spoke with an outside expert we talked to today who says it's now virtual certainty that Goodlett will take the stand in the trials of her former colleagues. He believes it's likely a condition of that plea agreement for a couple reasons. One, a judge set Goodlett's sentencing date for November 22nd. That's more than a month after former officers Joshua Jayne, Kyle Meany, and Brett Hankerson are set to face a jury in mid-October. And second, since Goodlett acknowledged cover-up efforts alongside Jayne's in that garage, UofL constitutional law professor Sam Marcosson says her testimony would be necessary in his trial based on common practice. Marcosson tells me this could make Jayne's trial very interesting and how his attorneys choose to approach Goodlett as a key witness.
Whether it changes his strategy and opens the door to him pleading guilty is a whole other question. But it certainly puts the pressure on them to come up with some sort of way to either rebut what she says or undermine her credibility, or both.
And remember, Goodlett faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in federal prison for that conspiracy charge, along with $250,000, a fine of $250,000, along with 3 years of supervision after release. Marcosson tells me it's fair to assume, given the circumstances, that Goodlett won't get anywhere near that number. Now, tonight we got reaction from Bruce Williams, senior pastor at Bates Memorial Baptist Church in Smoketown. He's been a part of the protest marches in the past and vocal on calls for systemic change.
My perspective is that we're encouraged but not satisfied. We're not going to be satisfied until someone does some time, but it's a step in the right direction.
And we also saw Tamika Palmer, Breonna Taylor's mom, in the courtroom today, watching every development closely. Goodlett and her attorney chose not to speak to us afterward. The judge reiterated Goodlett will not be in jail custody at all during this pre-sentence period. Now, she says Goodlett does not pose a danger to the community. Now, over the next 90 days, a probation officer will take her offense level and criminal history into consideration to nail down a sentencing guideline range. Doug.
Well, Isaiah, for a moment, let's go back to Kelly Goodlett admitting involvement with the former Detective Joshua Jayne's meeting in his garage is where the cover-up allegedly took place. How much could this affect arguments in his case?
Well, Doug, Marcosson believes one option here could be for his attorneys to deny any of his involvement, specifically accusing her of acting alone here. He tells me regardless, they likely expected this reality for a bit of time and will prepare for Goodlett to take the stand. Doug, back to you.
Take the stand and testify. Okay, thank you very much, Isaiah. In the newsroom tonight, former detectives Joshua Jayne and Brett Hankerson, as well as the former Sergeant Kyle Meany, have all pleaded not guilty to their charges. They are accused of depriving someone of their rights under the color of law, which is a federal crime with a possible life sentence.